So today you guys are getting to see something really cool, really interesting stuff that we've actually never released before here on my YouTube channel. And what this is essentially a sample of the kind of feedback that you can get if you join Pro Feedback. So we're going to review many different members' tracks. I'm going to release these reviews collectively with all of us together. These are all the pros that you're seeing on screen with you, right above me and below me. And we're going to basically review this track, each give pretty much one note on it. And I want you guys to really take away from this basically the idea that there is going to be common concepts and I don't necessarily call them rules, but sort of general guidelines that really go across multiple genres and multiple styles in the sync licensing business. So even though you're watching this video and this is probably not your track we're reviewing, we really want you to pay attention to the types of notes that we're giving, because a lot of this stuff can be applied universally to not only the same genre that you're hearing here if you produce in this genre, but multiple different genres. So I am going to be releasing actually Pro Feedback as a public membership available on March 1st. So up until now, for the last few months, it's only been available actually for our members, for Sync Academy and Sync Edge members. And the testimonials and the reviews and the feedback I'm getting is overwhelmingly positive. People are saying even within just 2 months of being in the service, a majority of them are finding that their tracks are significantly improving, and they can hear the difference from when they started to where they are now. So that's what this is really all about. We want you guys to enjoy this feedback, and of course this member is going to get some extra feedback on his track. And yeah, you guys are going to get a look as to what we really do in Pro Feedback. So stay tuned. March 1st is going to be a big day, and I'll let you guys know all about that when we get to it. So this is a track called just popped up, Never Leaving, and this is from Dennis, one of our members in Pro Feedback. So it's definitely a hip-hop track with some vocals on it. We're going to definitely play it. As it's playing, all of us are going to kind of keep our own notes and make our own notes for it, and when it's done, we will come back to the table and we'll each give basically one sort of significant note if we possibly can on this track, and hopefully help this producer make some significant improvements, or if we feel that it's ready to go, we're going to let him know that he is in a good position here. So let's go ahead and take a listen to Never Leaving. Here it is.
Never leaving. No, I'm never leaving. No, I'm never leaving. Shit, top of the top, cream of the crop with it. Champagne campaign, let them pop with it. Franchise player, watch them lean and rock with it. Chickens in the coop, yeah, I brought a flock with it. I got the power like I never turn the light off. First one up and I never take a night off. Finna text y'all and I never take a write off. Tryna figure how to stop me, you gon' need a mic off. Ain't no genie in the bottle wishing I could Tom Cruise, I done beat a lot of missions. This my campaign, no I ain't no politician. No, they tryna find a way to get up in my position. Let's ball out till we fall out. If we fall off, you can bet I'm going all out. Put it in your face, yeah, you better see it. Wish me good luck, but I never need it. I've been at the top for a while. Pray we never fall off. Want me to stop? Not now. I had to make myself a boss, and I know just what it costs. And we are supreme, I don't mean Diana Ross. Set the bar high and I bet I reach it. Made it to the top and I'm never leaving. It ain't never change, never change. At the top, no they can't stand the rain. No, I'm never leaving. No, I don't complain, no complain, no complain. All you do is stay the same. No, I'm never leaving. I'm going hard in the pain, no gain. Did it once, no, I'm never leaving. I'm going hard like a bane. If they ever let me up the Batman, I ain't never learned. What you talking about, Willis? Always show up, I don't ever need a feeling. Drumming up another W, I'm winning. Welcome to the jungle where it ain't safe for the timid. If we go mind to mind, no beat them pronto. Cause you and I know that I mash up as a time. So with just your goggles, matter of fact, take off your blindfold. I'm all about peace, but if it's beef, I need a mondo. I need a red carpet rollout. I'm the one that you was told about. Hall of Fame, man, they just brought my code out. Only time you putting on the jackets when it's cold out. Made my own path, then I walk my own route. Made my own dreams, it was so loud. When I take aim, I be dead on. I'm the one they wanna bet on. I've been at the top for a while. Pray we never fall off. Want me to stop? Not now. I had to make myself a boss, and I know just what it costs. And we are supreme, I don't mean Diana Ross. Set the bar high and I bet I reach it. Made it to the top and I'm never leaving. It ain't never change, never change. At the top, no they can't stand the rain. No, I'm never leaving. No, I don't complain, no complain, no complain. All you do is stay the same. No, I'm never leaving. I'm going hard in the pain, no gain. Did it once, no, I'm never leaving. I'm going hard like a bane. If they ever let me up the Batman, I ain't never leaving.
All right, so there we go. There's Never Leaving. So Trevor, I got my eye on you first, man, because you obviously do a lot of hip hop with your library and your experience in this business. So can you give us maybe a couple of thoughts or just one big note that you're noticing of this one that can help it, or maybe you think it's already good to go?
Oh yeah, I got a bunch actually because I actually like so there's a lot to like about this track, and I think that the producer is thinking about the wrong thing when they're approaching it. So in the note that was in the that the producer said, and he wanted to know how else or what else could he add to the song to keep it more minimalistic and clubby. And I don't think that that should be the approach. Actually, I think everything about this screams sports, especially the vocals and the drums. That actually removing that lead synth, which is actually kind of annoying and covering the vocals, and then bringing in more like heavier sports focused instruments like the big brass stabs or something like that, and converting this more into like a more impactful track. Because his lyrics are very they're broad in a sense that you can apply them to a lot of scenarios, and so different sports scenarios, different kind of moments, whether it's extreme sports or ball sports or any kind of like kind of competition kind of type of stuff. This track, his vocals, those drums, and then some new instruments replacing kind of the synthy clubby stuff would turn this into just a killer sports track. With that being said, bringing in maybe like a big brass hit, maybe a more distorted kind of mid-level synth, kind of steer away from the kind of high lead synth kind of stuff. Especially since that lead synth really got in the way of the vocal a lot of the times. And it was also kind of repetitive. Another thing that, and I've been saying this a lot in some of my reviews, and I even had a guy kind of go, like it clicked with him when I explained and I sent him an example of like, try to make your track not repetitive without adding a bunch of stuff. So like you'll take what you have and just move it around, change some things, do some drum fills, do maybe an A section with the melody and a B section with the melody, but use the same instrument. Don't just be like, oh, I added a saxophone, now it's a new section. Doing that kind of stuff, I think, and what he was asking will help. So if you bring in some of those more heavier instruments, kind of focusing on sports. But yeah, and as far as licensability, like I said, this thing is killer if you just get that kind of tone and sports feel. This thing would be used nonstop. Esports, regular sports, any kind of competition, even like reality moments where like those reality shows where people are competing for things like on an island or something, like they use this kind of stuff too. So this is like a super usable track if you can just get that feel. Oh, and cut the intro in half. It was way too long.
That was one of my notes actually too, so I'm glad you say that. Cool. Mike, do you have any further thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so actually I kind of the style of this track, I kind of see this working as this would be great for end credits, stuff like that, for like the bigger licenses. Like I actually can see this on an end credits for like Euphoria, stuff like that. The only trouble with that though is when you start to step into that game, now you're dealing with major labels, you're dealing with like the major indies and all that kind of stuff, because now you're looking at like $250,000 licenses, all that kind of stuff, right? So your licensability goes down, but then again, I think this track, the way it's set up now, it's set up to go after those really big licenses. That said, I think the hook needs to be stronger. I don't hear a strong hook in this at all. It's not memorable. This is like this sounds like a rap battle to me. And yeah, I just think that if there's like a hook, two things really. If there's a hook that could be keyed on, that's like really strong, really memorable, you probably will find this hit more on, like on more of those end credits and stuff like that. And then the other thing too is like little tricks. It's needing little drops here and there, just endpoints, like for where the track stops, and just little tricks like that, little fills that will actually turn this more into something that could be used for trailers as well. So but yeah, that's my take on it.
So fascinating, because this is the first time we've done this where we're all collectively doing it, and my notes are, I mean, you guys are kind of mimicking, or I guess echoing exactly what some of my notes say. So it's really fascinating how we all kind of hear a lot of these same things. So one of my notes for sure was I didn't really hear a hook that was distinct. It felt like one long verse. So absolutely, man, it's really cool that we're kind of on the same page with that one. I absolutely agree. Hans, did you have some further thoughts or some helpful notes for Dennis here?
Well, I certainly totally agree with everybody. I had the same notes. Intro is too long. I was looking more at what he was asking for in terms of the how can he keep it minimal and clubby, and that goes for me into the producing act. Actually, I feel that the drums just are looped. I'm thinking of like if the vocals were gone, right, and you could use just the background without the vocals, it would be just the same all over. So I'm looking more into producing the inner sections of the drums and stuff, and sometimes just dropping it out and have the vocals go for a bar by themselves, and then maybe come in with just some producing tricks, some sound. And then I had the reverb in wasn't fitting for me. There was something in there that was just not working. But it's a great track. It's not my style, so a lot of this is just opinion. But when I listen to like great hip hop and good stuff, I'm always captured by how it keeps my interest. And I lost my interest about halfway through because I knew what was coming.
Got it. Great points. Absolutely, man. Philip, did you have some thoughts for this one?
Yeah, I agree with everyone. And to expand on what Mike was saying, there was a lot of spots in here where I feel like some ear candy could be put in there with like some that tape slowdown vibe, ticka ticka, that kind of thing as a drop to get into the next section. Maybe some drops all the way out where the vocals get the pickup back into the next section. I kind of like the riff in the background in some spots, but I agree with Trevor that it got kind of monotonous towards the end. Maybe even switching to a guitar, doing that lick or something in a breakdown or something like that. And I also thought it could benefit from having another chord in there somewhere, like a B section. Don't know what key we're in, but like, if we're in D minor, then going to the B flat for 8 bars or something. Just you can have the same riff going over it. It's just the relative minor, and it just gives another flavor, and then it gives somewhere to go back to that outro. So those can kind of be interchanged if there's an editor chopping this up.
Absolutely, man. Really good notes there for sure. And Scott, how about you, man? What you got to say for this one?
Well, I mean, I agree with everybody so far, which is kind of cool to see that my notes are really the same. The intro definitely could have been quicker. I would have liked to have heard the hook right away, at that, like, soon as that intro kind of kicked in, just to grab our attention. It felt like it was two different songs. Like, it felt like the lyrics, like Trevor was saying, it had that great kind of sports vibe to it, but then it had that kind of minimal club Tyga style beat in the background. So I kind of felt like they were competing for the vibe or the energy of the track. One thing I kept waiting for was with that melody, that da 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 da. I waited, like Philip said, to change it to a different note, or even play with the octaves and maybe drop it down an octave, or put it up higher an octave. Something that's going to add a little bit of make it a little more diverse. And then I was just, and the 808 could have kicked a little bit harder. I found it was a little quiet. Maybe add a little bit of saturation, or just maybe a bit of fuzz on it would have given it a bit more energy to match the the energy of the lyrics and the energy of the vocals. I think, like everyone was saying, as soon as if you were to take those vocals out, I think it would be a completely different track. And I think it would need a lot more versatility in it to kind of carry on its own. If somebody doesn't want those vocals, I don't know if that track would really carry it.
Absolutely, yeah. And my thoughts, other than what you guys have said, is essentially, I think really, Trevor's note in terms of the direction of this is really probably one of the most powerful ones, is just to think about, we're not here just to make cool hip hop music. We definitely need to make cool hip hop music, but we also need to steer our music directly towards a client, somebody who needs music for their shows. So as Trevor was saying, this is really all about that sports, I think, appeal. So going for those horns, going for maybe marching drums, and really adding a little bit more epicness to the track is probably a direction to go. And in some ways, too, with our lyrics and our vocals, less is more, especially with our hooks. Like, there's a kernel, and overall, this track has a lot of great energy to it. It's really, really perfect for sports placements. But it really needs to have something much hookier in the hook. So basically, if you can take away a lot of those lyrics and you can keep it a little bit simpler and let us rest a little bit, let us breathe a little bit, give us a phrase, give us that hooky, catchy thing, take it away for half of a bar. Let us think about that. Let us just be with that. Let us be a part of that energy and then bring it back in. So especially with you know, music that has lyrics for film and stuff, you really got to keep it a sort of less is more approach. You don't want to be showing off how many lyrics you can cram into a track. It really is not going to be impressive to many people in the sync licensing business. It's more about, can I see this theme or these words or this energy that's coming through this track, and can it really speak to this commercial we're going to put together, or this promo, or this sport or e-sport, or whatever it is we're doing. So always just keep that in mind, especially when you throw vocals on your track. In fact, I just released a tutorial in Sync Academy about how to craft really licensable lyrics. So for those of you that haven't seen it, go check it out. It's a really valuable one. I think I'm going to release that one actually publicly too, because it's one of those things I think most people need to be aware of, that it's not just about writing whatever comes to your mind. You really need to think about production music and licensable music. So I think with all that being said, it's definitely on the right path here, but definitely some thoughts need to be considered here, and maybe some revisions can definitely be entered to make this a much more licensable track. But thank you so much, Dennis, for submitting it. I hope you found these notes useful, and thanks to all of you guys that were watching. Remember, March 1st is the date that you can actually join and start getting feedback like this on your track. So stay tuned. You'll hear about that very soon.